There appears to be a spike in cash and transit heists in the country, particularly in Gauteng, Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. An armoured cash vehicle was set alight during a robbery attempt on the N2 between KwaMashu and Nandi Drive in Durban this week. And in Gauteng today, robbers cornered and blew up yet another cash and transit vehicle along the N12 near Diepkloof in Soweto. Let's now chat to Bolhuis, who's a specialist investigator, about why we are seeing a resurgence in CIT robberies and why SAPS appears ill-equipped to deal with it. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it, Mike. Let's just speak about this current surge that we are seeing in cash and transit vehicles. Many are saying it's a lead up to, if I can call it, the silly season, December, where we do often see an increase in these heists, but also in criminal activity. Can we attribute it to that?
Yes, we can. Take note that every year between September, October and November, there is a 200% to 300% increase in all crimes. It's like the criminals also by the end of the year want to take as much in as they can. And they're obviously going to take advantage of this, especially the October holiday season they already have, and they will in December as well. So there is an increase and there will be a definite increase. So the people must be aware of this.
Let's speak about why this cash and transit heists and these blow-ups that happen seem to be getting worse. I mean, we have been covering this for years and years, and it seems as though the criminals are getting smarter and the boots on the ground are unable to catch up.
It's exactly that, and we have said it, so many have said it, the media has said it, that the police is definitely ill-equipped. They unfortunately cannot curb crime, they cannot prevent the crime, and the criminals know this, and crime begets crime. When a crime is successful, other criminals will have a look and get involved. And that's why when crime is happening and it's not addressed by the authorities, they will definitely do more crime and more will get involved. And that's why I always say crime begets crime. So especially in our economic situation today, it will become worse. Our economic situation in South Africa is getting to the worst of the worst. Everything is expensive: food, traveling, the load shedding, the extreme damage, the COVID before, the corruption in our government, in the authorities. It's just everywhere. And the mindset out there is one of so many that in the past wouldn't even consider committing crime will get involved in doing crime today to get for themselves as much as possible. So there will be more criminals as well.
I want to speak about the role that authorities need to play in all of this. I mean, just this week, if I'm not mistaken, it was actually yesterday in KZN, we saw police moving into a particular situation where you had those cash and transit heists happening and those members were gunned down. But are authorities doing enough, and what more can they do to deal with this? Because looking at this, not even as a journalist, but just as a citizen, it just does not seem to get any better. When I see those cash and transit vehicles, I panic because it happens so quickly and it's so aggressive. It's a really aggressive crime that happens.
It's a real dire situation, and you've explained it exactly as it is, and that's how all and everybody in the public feels. And fortunately, we have all the news media that totally always uncovers this and exposes this, but it unfortunately leaves all the public people extremely paranoid and in fear. But the police as well. Remember, the policemen aren't MacGyvers or Rambos. They just don't jump in cars and go and chase the criminals. They are quite scared because the law protects the criminal today. They must be very careful how they address the situation. And I have a big problem with that. I have said before so many times, the only way to deal with crime is harshly, zero tolerance. And if policemen finds themselves in imminent danger, they must be allowed to really shoot and defend themselves. But you also need to draw a line between corruption, because many a time some of these policemen are involved in these very cash in transit robberies. in these very house robberies, murders, ATM bombings, and all kidnappings, and all these extreme crimes in our country. Many a times the authorities are involved, or they are, or some of them are at least assisting those criminals that are committing these crimes. But the real police that is there, that wants to make the difference, must have teeth and they must have bite, and they must be allowed to address this extremely serious. Also take in consideration, the police cannot just come in and guns blazing. What about the people around? What about the area where it happens? You have to take that all in consideration, and who's there and who is on the other side. When you start shooting, you must be very sure that you shoot the criminal and not the people that's inquisitively standing by and observing.
Absolutely. Just lastly, I mean, you spoke about corrupt police, and I'm wondering how much of that is playing out in the increase that we are seeing in cash and transit heists, especially during this silly season, you know, the last 3 to 4 months of the year. Always because we see such an increase, and I think that's even more concerning and scary, Mike, is that you have police officers who are unfortunately corrupt and are involved and give the inside information that's needed for these cash and transit heists to be executed so meticulously. Yeah,
there's two forms of corruption in the police that I've identified to be the most problematic. One is those who are in the police and cannot protect and serve. In other words, he says he's a painter, but he's actually a mechanic. He just cannot do the work. He doesn't want to do the work. He just has the job. He gets his medical, his pension, his pay, and he actually doesn't really, you know, you can see him at the station. You can see him if you talk to him or ask him or for assistance. He has that attitude. He's just there. And the other form of corruption is those who are in the police that abuse their position and their authority. We get thousands of calls and complaints of the public where policemen pull people over, wants money from them, or wouldn't do a docket or assist with an investigation without getting an extra or some food or money. These are small things, but they sometimes are very big. We hear of extreme amounts many a times that is required because they do an evaluation and see what you can afford. And they see if a very rich person enters a station or they get to a house where assistance is needed, they evaluate the situation. According to that, they'll make their fee. This happens a lot. That's another form of police corruption that's a big problem to me. And that comes in with all these specialized units. They sometimes are enticed and involved in these extreme crimes because they want to make it big quickly. Remember, the mindset now in our country is so because of this extreme situation in our country. As you've said it, extreme fear, extreme paranoia, crimes everywhere. It's horrific. The economy, everything. What's the good news? Where is it? People have a mindset of getting as much as they can out of their situation in whatever position they find themselves. They might abuse it. And that happens in the authorities a lot.
Certainly, it is a very worrying picture. But thank you so much for your insights this evening. We do appreciate it. That was Specialist Investigator Mike Bolhuis live.